In this video, we will see how to set up shared coordinates to give a common coordinate system to all of our models and help us collaborate with other consultants. Let's start by opening the file Shared Coordinates. And in this file, we have our topography modelled, along with the road and other site components. Plus we have two linked models, one for the residence block and one for the studio block. Looking in the site plan view, we can see we have the coordinate markers for our current project. We have the internal origin point, the project base point, and the survey point, and they're all currently in the same location. This means that the coordinates for this model are being generated from this location. So to show this, from the Annotate ribbon tab on the Dimension panel, I'll choose to place some spot coordinates. If I select the end of the slab down here, we can see that that coordinate has a minus north value. That's because it's below the actual origin point. And I'll specify a point up here by this path. We can see that that has a positive value. And the easting value are the same on both, as they're on a vertical line and they're just 8 feet or so to the east of this coordinate point. We can see the linked models and their coordinate points as well. And we can see that they're all in the same location within their models. And these models have been positioned by just moving, rotating and aligning them into the correct location within this site file. As we now have them in the correct location, we'll set up some shared coordinates. And this means that should we need to link the two blocks together in their own files, we can use the shared coordinates to position them accurately. And equally we could link the site model into either of these blocks using the shared coordinates so that it would come in the right place relative to the buildings. We can also set up shared coordinates between Revit models and DWG files. And this can be particularly useful if the DWG has been based on a survey or official GIS data, as it will contain the correct coordinates and north orientation for our site. We have a DWG of that nature for this project. So we'll go to the Insert Ribbon tab. From the Link panel, we'll choose to link CAD. And we'll choose the Home Studio GIS plan. We'll leave the import options as they are. We'll note the positioning is currently auto origin to internal origin. So we'll open this up. And now zooming out, we can see where our DWG has been located. So not only is it away from the current site, it's also at a different angle. And this is the true north orientation of our site, as opposed to the convenient angle that we have it on, because it's easier to work on the screen when it's straight rather than rotated. So to set up the shared coordinates, we'll first move the DWG to align with our Revit site. So we'll select this. And because we brought it in origin to internal origin, we'll need to unpin it before we can move it. So we'll now choose Move. We'll select a convenient location, such as the end of the slab here. And we'll snap that to the end of the slab in our Revit model. And whilst it's still selected, we'll now rotate it. So from the Modify Ribbon tab, we'll choose Rotate. I'll choose to place the center of rotation, and we'll place it at the end of the wall where we've just located it. And now we can select the line in the DWG file and align that to our Revit model. Now zooming out, we can see that the CAD drawing perfectly aligns with our Revit site. So in order to get the coordinates from the DWG and share them with our model, we'll first go to the Manage Ribbon tab. We have a project location panel here, and from here we can choose from the coordinates, and we will choose to acquire those coordinates from the linked DWG file. So selecting Acquire Coordinates, we'll zoom out and we'll choose the DWG file. And we can now see that we've succeeded in acquiring the coordinates from the DWG file. So we'll close this down, and looking at the model, it's actually rotated. And zooming in, we can see that the survey point is no longer in the same place as the project base point or internal origin. We can also see that our spot coordinates have updated to new values. If we zoom out further, we can see where our survey point has moved to. And this is the equivalent of the 00 point within the DWG file. Our site plan view is set to be true north orientation, and hence the view is rotated round to the original orientation of the DWG, as that is the true north orientation. We can swap it back from true north to project north, and this will rotate the view to how we had it modelled originally inside Revit, and that's the view we would want to use when we're working on the project, as that aligns better with our sheets. So now that we have the coordinates acquired from the GIS data in the DWG file, and our site model is using those coordinates, we can now publish those coordinates into our linked projects. So from the Manage Ribbon tab, under the Project Location panel, we'll choose Coordinates once more, and this time we'll publish the coordinates. Now we'll select our residence block to publish those coordinates into, and we're asked for a site to publish them to, so we'll choose the internal current one and say OK. And now we can see that the survey point has moved away from the linked model here, and it's now actually coincident with the survey point in our current model, as they're now sharing the same coordinates. We'll do this again with the studio model. From the Manage Ribbon tab on the project location, under coordinates, we'll choose Publish Coordinates and select the studio model. Once again, we'll say OK to place them into the internal current site. And the survey marker in this model has also now moved to align with the survey markers in the other models and our site model. So that's created a set of shared coordinates. And to see how these now work, we'll open up the residence model and link the studio model into it. And in order to do this, we'll first save the file, and we'll have to close down our site model here to be able to open up the residence model without unloading it. So we'll choose Save, and now we're prompted to save those positions back to the linked file. We could disable the shared coordinates, which we don't want to do. We'll choose Save to write those new coordinate positions into the linked files. So now that we have those saved, we'll close this model, and now we can open up the residence shared model. We'll go to the site plan view. Once again, we can see the internal origin point and the project base point, and also the survey point from the coordinates that we've published into this file from our site model. I'll go back to the first floor plan, and we'll see that this is currently set to project north orientation. So if I do change it to true north, it will rotate around to the correct location of our GIS data. I'll swap it back to project north, as this is easier for us to work on. And now we'll link in the studio model that should align next to the residence model. So from the Insert Ribbon tab, we'll choose Link Revit, and here we can see the studio model shared that we want to link in. So for the positioning, we'll change it from internal origin to internal origin, and we'll use auto by shared coordinates. So now when we choose Open, that file will be linked in, and we can see that it aligns perfectly with the residence block as it should do on the site. And to show how the coordinates are now working, from the Annotate Ribbon tab, if I come and place a spot coordinate and choose a location on our existing project, we can see those north and east values match up to what we had in the site previously. So that ends this video, and to recap, in this video we've seen how to set up shared coordinates to give a common coordinate system to all of our models and help us collaborate with other consultants.